Hey ladies, we got to talk about something really serious right now, and it's happening in real time as I'm talking about it, and I want to share it with you so you can learn how these things work. This may happen to you as well, and you just don't realize it. It's about love addiction, fantasy addiction, romance addiction, and a lot of times why it is we fall in love with men that are no good. We fall in love quickly. I've made videos about this in the past. It's actually happening to me right now in this moment. So I want to capture it here in this video. It's 5:30 in the morning right now. I'm awake right now because I just got home from a dance social and my son met me outside in the driveway when he heard me pull in. My son got jumped tonight. My son and about 5 of his friends, they all got jumped tonight and they got hurt. One of them is in the hospital right now. He's in bad shape, really bad shape. My son got really hurt. His friends got hurt, all but one. Everybody got really, really hurt. So I just talked to my son for about an hour. He told me the whole situation that happened. They were out tonight and some things went down and a group of like 11 guys attacked them, and one of their friends was unconscious on the ground, and they were pretty much trying to kill him. They were kicking him in the head. Multiple guys were kicking him in the head while he was unconscious, and mind you, these are freaking 21-year-old kids, 21-year-old boys. My son's 21. All his friends are about 21, 20, 21, 22. Obviously I'm a mother. I'm stressed out about this. My son is all mangled. He got hit by a lot of guys. A lot of guys attacked him. And what is my brain doing? I'm going to tell you what my brain is doing. I literally just finished the 1-hour conversation with my son where he told me everything that happened. He's all messed up. He's got welts all over his head. They kicked him in the freaking temple. They kicked my son in the head when he was on the ground. They were just like multiple guys were just attacking them. So my son got hurt, of course, and his friend is in the hospital. They just got back from the hospital. Obviously my heart is hurting. I'm scared for them. These guys that attack them, they also, where we live, people know each other. So it's just a matter of time before they figure out where we live. And, the purpose of this video is to talk about love addiction. What the hell does this have to do with love addiction or fantasy addiction or romance addiction? I will tell you why. I literally just had this discussion with my son, and what is the first thing my brain wants to do? Okay, I come in the house. Okay, I was talking to my son outside. He just went upstairs to his apartment. He lives here in a separate apartment from me on the same property. He just went up to his apartment. He needs to go and rest. He's not well. He's got like 3 friends upstairs and they're all beat up and messed up. And one of their friends is in the hospital right now. He's got to stay there. They all just got home from the emergency room. So what does my brain do? It's weird, right? Okay, this video is also going to help you understand men that cheat and do a lot of like creepy sexual things behind your back. If you've ever had a husband that, had a girlfriend or a mistress or, was addicted to looking at adult content online, this is going to help you understand men too. Not that I'm trying to have a bunch of compassion and empathy for men, but it's good to understand them, okay? It's good to understand why a lot of them do what they do. And right now what's happening to me is going to help you understand. So I just had this conversation with my son, and it's obviously very disturbing. No mother wants to think of her son almost losing his life and one of his best friends since childhood, okay? His friend who is in the hospital right now in very, very bad condition. His head is cracked open. He's messed up. I've known his friend since they were little kids. I mean, my son's friends are here in my house like every single day. Like I've watched these kids grown up since they were like in 2nd grade. So, it hurts. Like I'm in emotional pain right now because of this. I'm also scared for my son. I'm scared for our safety. I'm scared for my son's health right now. He's got a bunch of lumps and bumps all over his head and his face. I'm worried about a lot of things. I'm worried about the safety of our property here. My son, he owns a lot of cars. He's a mechanic, and he works on classic cars, and he's got a bunch of his vehicles here on our property, and these guys who are after them, it's just going to be a matter of a very short amount of time, but they're going to find out where we live, and they could very likely come here and vandalize all of my son's property. I mean, who knows? So I have a lot of worries in my mind right now. I feel scared for what's going to happen in the future. I don't know what's going to happen legally either. I don't know if everybody is going to be arrested. The police are at the hospital trying to talk to the unconscious boy right now. So I don't know what the future holds. Health-wise, legally, safety-wise, a lot of things. So I just walked in the house. This literally just happened a few minutes ago. And now I'm here by myself in my apartment. My son is upstairs. He's resting with his friends. Everybody up there is very sick and beat up. What is the thing I go to do? This may sound weird, right? I come in the house, and what do I have a desire to listen to? I'll show you what I just put on as soon as this happened. My heart was wrapped up in clover. The night I looked at you. At Last by Etta James, a very romantic song. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. Why is it that this awful catastrophe is going on and I want to listen to that song? I'll tell you why. It's the same reason why some women right now in this exact situation may go and pick up a cigarette or grab themselves a glass of wine, right? Or maybe somebody who's a food addict might go and, grab an unhealthy snack and just start binging on food to relieve the stress, or smoking or drinking. When people are addicts, when situations like this come up, very stressful, scary situations, things that just rile your emotions, you'll go to grab the thing that comforts you. Why the hell am I grabbing for a romantic song? Well, because that's my addiction. I'm a love, romance, fantasy addict, aka Pickmeesha. That's my Pickmeesha neural pathway. Pickmeeshas are, Pickmeesha is like a new age word for love addicts, fantasy addicts, romance addicts. Because I have that in me. Yes, I don't do a lot of Pickmeesha things these days because I've been in sugar world a long time and I've retrained my brain and I've taken a lot of courses to learn how to master myself. And I've done a lot of therapy and a lot of coaching. And, I've done all these things. But I still, before I was the Lola you guys know from this channel, I was a Pickmeesha. I was a love addict. I was all those things. And I still struggle with that. I still struggle with those things. I just have it contained right now, I have it contained. And I go with men that have money. And I have a lot of boundaries and standards. But I'm still an addict. I just have the addiction at bay. And right now is the perfect moment for you to see what an addict I truly am. My son almost got killed tonight. His friend almost got killed tonight. And the first thing I run to is some romantic ass music. Why do I want to listen to that music? Okay. This is all subconscious. I didn't consciously know this is what I was doing. I'm aware of it because I take all the classes and programs and read all the books. And, I've studied these things. Somebody who doesn't study these things wouldn't even notice what they're doing right now. But because I'm aware, I know what I'm doing. I'm figuring it out and I'm sharing it with you to help you ladies out too. And because I really need to share right now. I need to talk to somebody right now. It's like 5:30 in the morning over here and I logged on to a Zoom meeting so I could get, some support. And there were still a couple people on the meeting, but they fell asleep. So nobody's responding. I really needed to share with my group tonight, but they were already all sleeping, and they just didn't log off Zoom. They're just sleeping with the Zoom on. So the meeting is still open. There's just nobody awake. So I do need to share right now. I need to talk about this to help me, because I don't want to go down the unhealthy path, because what my addicted brain wants to do right now, I'm under a lot of stress because of what happened to my son tonight and his friends. I want to go into romantic fantasy. No, I'm not going to go pick up a cigarette. I'm not going to pick up a cupcake. I'm not going to pick up a glass of wine. I instinctively, automatically want to pick up some damn romance, because that's my primary addiction. Yes, I have a lot of other addictions too, but that's definitely my strongest one. That's how I ended up with 3 kids by 3 different men. That's how I ended up, a mom while I was a teenager. That's how I ended up in poverty, raising children all by myself, because I'm an addict to love. I'm an addict to romance and fantasy. That's why when I got together with the fathers of my children, I couldn't see that they were bad news. Why? I was blinded by my addiction to the romantic fantasy of, oh my God, he's my knight in shining armor. He's going to love me forever. He's going to never cheat on me. He's going to be wonderful. That's romantic fantasy. It's not real. It's a delusional state. Where does it come from? It comes from addiction. And I'm showing you right now, this is an addiction. My son just told me he almost died tonight, and one of his best friends is in the hospital halfway dead. And what do? Pick up a romantic song, because my brain wants to start going into romantic fantasy. I want to sit here for the rest of the night because I can't cope with the feelings. The feelings are so overwhelming. The sadness, the being scared, the uncertainty, worrying about my son's health, worrying about his friend who I've known his entire life. I watched this kid grow up. He's in the hospital right now, and we don't know what's going to happen to him. Because those feelings are very overwhelming, my brain is looking for something to comfort it. I feel overwhelmed, and I don't think I have the skill set maybe, or I don't know what to do right now. There's literally nothing I can do right now. I feel powerless. There's nothing I can do about the situation right now. And, he's already at the hospital. There's nothing I can do to speed up the whole situation with the police. So we just have to wait until, sometime tomorrow or, later today, whenever the police come knocking. I'm powerless right now. I'm in a situation where I feel there's nothing I can do about it but sit here and wait. All I can do is sit here and suffer in the pain and the anxiety and just wait. All I can literally do is wait. And when you're in that waiting period, you feel like, there's no way you can fix the problem. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to grab a cigarette. Some people like to smoke trees. Some people will start to binge on food. People like me, I will go to a romantic fantasy. I didn't even know I was doing it until I did it. And I'm like, this is kind of weird. This is so inappropriate. It seems so inappropriate. If somebody were watching from the outside, looking in on this situation and saw a mom hear all of that bad news from her son and see her son all beat up with lumps and bumps all over his head and his face and his body. And then all of a sudden, mom just walks in her apartment and she puts on some romantic music and starts thinking about, oh, that guy from dance class, and he's so romantic, and oh, I'd really like to, have something going on with him, and oh, maybe I should start texting him. Oh, I'm listening to the romantic music. Maybe he's my forever man. Maybe he's my SP. Maybe he's my special person. Maybe I manifested him. Oh, maybe we're going to end up together in love. Maybe he's the kind of guy that would never cheat on me. What the fuck kind of thoughts are those to be having right now when your son is all beat up and his best friend, one of his best friends, is in the hospital? It's that doesn't make sense. That seems like to somebody else, it would look like I don't care about the situation and I'm not taking it seriously. And, I care more about men and, my potential boyfriend from dance class. It seems like I care more about that than I care about the horrible situation that's going on right now. But it's not that. It's because I care so much. I can't cope with the feelings. Like, I can't cry right now. Like, I feel no tears. I'm in a state of shock. I can't cry. I mean, I know I should be crying right now. I'm not crying. I'm not screaming. I'm not having an anxiety attack, nothing like that. I'm just going into an addiction. And my brain picked the romance, love, fantasy addiction because the worse the situation, the most relieving thing my brain is going to pick. And for me, for whatever reason, hold on, I'm cracking salt. Love, romance, fantasy addiction was one of my very, very first addictions. This addiction is developed in childhood. Why? Because when you're a little kid, you don't have access to like cigarettes and alcohol or street drugs. I mean, but what you do have access to all the time when you're a little kid is your brain, is your imagination. And you can go into fantasy about little boys in your class. You can go into fantasy about all kinds of things. You know, some kids will start, reading like fantasy novels compulsively. Like, you go into a delusional state. That was something I learned how to do as a child, as a coping mechanism to get through my turbulent household where there was addiction, there was violence, there were all kinds of things that was going on in my household when I was growing up. So my escape was to go into my own mind and use the fantasy in my brain to get through the hard times because I didn't have any other tools or skill sets. So I made that one up. And a lot of people do this. This is how they turn out to be Pickmeeshas. Pickmeeshas are women who have a fantasy about men. That's literally what a Pickmeesha is. It's a woman that's in a delusional state that's having a fantasy about men, thinking that she's met a prince or she's going to meet a guy who's like a prince. It's going to be different than all the rest. He's going to love her so much. He's going to never cheat. He's going to be this great guy. He's only going to have eyes for her. They're going to be in holy matrimony and all this stuff. That is a delusional state that comes from love addiction. Love addiction comes usually from childhood, when you're going through toxic situations, bad family situations. Maybe one of your parents dies, maybe you're getting bullied at school, maybe you guys are poor, maybe you're, a fat little kid and you get teased at school, maybe you're too skinny, you get teased for that. Like, there's so many reasons somebody would go into fantasy as a child. And this is a skill set. Going into fantasy is a skill set we learn as a child, and we do it so often, so frequently, depending on how much stress we're under as children. We develop the skill very, very, very well. And then when we grow up, we don't even know it's a coping mechanism. We just go into fantasy. We meet these men and we go into fantasy about them. And we think he's our knight in shining armor. We think he's this wonderful guy. We will bypass and not look at all kinds of red flags. Why? Because we're in delusional fantasy at that moment. And we literally can't see it because the fantasy takes over in the mind. It's a coping mechanism, ladies. Falling in love with these men very quickly, falling in love with men who don't deserve your love, giving your man your body and your money and your time and all these things, all your young, beautiful years waiting around for a ring and, having babies with men who don't deserve it and, helping them with their credit scores and all the things we do for them and helping them with their sexual urges. And this is all stuff we do when we are in fantasy, because once we find out these guys are no good, the fantasy pops and we're in terrible amounts of pain when we see the reality of who he is and what he is. This is why women get fooled for years. They stay in these relationships for years because they're stuck in the fantasy. They can't get rid of the fantasy. They have all these hope that these men, he's going to change. He's getting better. I'm going to forgive him. I'm going to give him another chance. That's all while you're under the spell of love addiction, under the spell of fantasy addiction. Like right now, I am under the spell, but the only difference is I know I'm under the spell. That's why I'm making this video, so you guys can understand when you are under the spell, and you can actually backtrack and find out why you're under the spell. What stressful thing is going on in your life that your brain decided to fall in love with somebody at work, or fall in love with a guy you went to bed with one time, or you're so attached to some guy who you dated for a little while and then he ghosted you? Like, why? Like, it makes no logical sense to be obsessed with somebody that you don't really know. Somebody, be obsessed with somebody that doesn't even treat you right. Be obsessed with somebody who does not deserve you. Somebody, like most of the men women are obsessed with and in love with, don't deserve their love. Why would a woman do that? It's because it's the addiction. There's something in her life that is stressing her out so deeply. There's something or some things. Sometimes it's just your whole entire lifestyle and your whole childhood full of trauma, and your adulthood full of trauma. You're constantly living in a stressed out state. Then your brain is constantly going to be looking for relief. So your brain is constantly going to go into romantic fantasy. You will constantly fall in love with people that ain't shit. You will constantly give men chances they don't deserve. You will constantly sleep with people too quickly. When you are a fantasy romance love addict, aka Pickmeesha, this is a trauma response. You're stressed out about something. You may not even be able to really put your finger on it. If you've been stressed out your whole life or for many years, you won't even consider it stressed out. You'll just think it's normal life. Well, have you been having a problem your whole life getting together with wrong men? Getting together with bad men? Like, have you literally been dating the same guy with a different face for years? Well, there's your answer. You've been stressed out for years, and you've been using romantic fantasy to cope for years. Right now, my brain is literally doing what? It's trying to cope. It's telling me, oh, well, listen to love songs and fantasize about that guy from your dance school. It seems very inappropriate to go listening to love songs and want to go text a guy at 5:30 in the morning when your son just tells you he got his freaking skull smashed in, trying to protect his friend who's now in the hospital that's unconscious. This completely inappropriate. This is not the time to go texting boys and listening to romance songs. But why am I doing it? Not because I'm really in love with this guy, not because I'm in a romantic mood. No, I need to be in a romantic mood so I don't have to think about what my son just told me. It's a way to get my mind off of it, to go into the addiction instead. Thank God I'm aware that this is what I do, because years ago I didn't know stress made me want to go into romance. I would just be stressed out and I would go to the gas station and some guy would hit on me, and we'd exchange phone numbers, and then we start talking, and I would become obsessed with him, and I would be in bed with him very quickly, and he'd be a no good freaking loser, probably didn't even have a car, who knows. And I would just be like, I don't know, I'm just so drawn to him. Like, I just love him. I like him so much, like making excuses in my head for him being a loser, and trying to find all the good things about him when there was like really nothing to like. I would just have very, very low standards sometimes. And that's why, because I was stressed out. I was going into romantic fantasy, and some guy would cross my path and I would become obsessed with him. I would love him. I would jump in bed with him thinking, oh, he's the one, he's the one. Like, it doesn't even make logical sense to feel that way about somebody you don't even know that well. But That would happen to me because my brain was looking for relief from the stress. So I'm aware of this. I know this. That's how I can explain it to you ladies right now. And I hope it's helpful to you. Just to help you to get to get to know yourself better and understand why you do what you do. Why so many people do what they do. Because, even if you don't do this, I bet you have a sister or a cousin or a friend who does. I'm sure you know some Pickmeeshas out there. Well, just know so you can understand them better and you can love them better. Understand what they're going through. They are having a trauma response to stress. They're having a stress-related attack pretty much that puts them into romantic fantasy. Once you're in romantic fantasy, you start doing pick-me stuff. And you can't stop. It's all an addiction. It's all an addiction. Oh, and how this relates to men. I'm sure you've had a boyfriend or a husband who constantly, you keep catching him looking at inappropriate things on the internet. You see him going on Instagram, swiping and looking at all these girls and, sending messages, or maybe he's got collections of pictures of women in his phone. Maybe he's constantly cheating. Like, he's always doing some kind of devious pervert stuff. And you caught him cheating so many times. You caught him looking at this content so many times, and he can't stop or he won't stop. He keeps sneaking to do it. Many, many, many times, this is what men turn to. No, they're not usually romance addicts, no, but they're sex addicts. And when they're feeling low, when bad things happen in their life, when they're stressed out from work, when they're having financial problems, when they get beat up, when they get jumped, when their car gets repoed, any number of things that happen in a man's life, his mom dies, what do they tend to do? And it seems very inappropriate. They'll go look at some inappropriate pictures online and touch themselves. Why? Because it's an addiction they turn to help them cope. Many times men have girlfriends or they're married, they're stressed out. Maybe they're stressed out at work and they're stressed out at home with you. You guys been arguing? Well, they go stick it in somebody else to feel better. And that doesn't make sense to women. Well, to most women, it doesn't make sense because we don't really want to go do it when we're stressed out. That's not typically how it works. So we'll go into romantic fantasy first, and then he'll love bomb us, or we'll think, he's feeling romantic towards us when, maybe all he did was hold a freaking door. And we're like, oh my God, he held the door. He's so kind. He's always thinking about me. He's so good to me. He texts me every morning, good morning, beautiful. He's been doing it for a whole week. And then when I saw him the other day, he held the door for me. Then you'll start to get turned on in your mind, and you'll start telling yourself that he's so amazing and he's so wonderful. And then you'll end up in the bed with him. But usually for women, we have to have the intrigue and the romantic fantasy, giving him way more credit than he deserves to have. And then we'll end up in the bed shortly after. With men, they just want to go online and look at some pictures of some body parts. Or they want to go and call their ex, who will give it up easily and just go smash that shit real quick. So just so you understand, I'm not telling you, let's feel bad for men and not hold them accountable when we catch them doing this stuff. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just trying to help you understand the psychology and why, because a lot of women question, how could he have cheated on me at a time like this? His mom literally died yesterday, and then I find out he cheats on me like the day after his mom dies. Or I found out he cheated on me the night before our wedding. Like things that make no sense to the female mind. But if you look at it like this through the lens of addiction, it makes sense. He was stressed out about the wedding, all frazzled, all frantic. You guys have been planning this for weeks, and, family stress is associated with that and financial stress. I'm not saying make excuses for him. I'm just trying to help you understand the psychology of why people do this kind of stuff, because I'm literally doing it right now. I'm doing a lighter version of it, but I'm doing the same thing right now. I'm stressed out because of what happened to my son. I'm freaked out. I am scared. Like, I can't even cry right now. I'm worried about my son. I'm worried about his friends. I'm worried about his friend in the hospital. I'm worried about, the police coming here. I'm worried about so many things. And what am I doing? I'm trying to go get into some romantic shit. If I were a guy, I'd probably be beating off to some adult stuff online. I mean, I'm not going to do that because I'm a woman, but I'm doing my own version of it. I'm listening to romantic songs, and that's always like the first step, start listening to the romantic songs, kind of get into like a romantic headspace. Those songs will help me like think about, some guys from my dance school, and I'll start thinking about, oh yeah, and then, he bought me that food that day. And then remember what he said to me last week? And then we were like holding hands at the gym for a second. He was like helping me up off the ground. And then we like held hands and we were like looking at each other. And like, my brain will start thinking about all this like romantic stuff. That's female adult content. It's the same thing though. It's my brain looking for relief by distracting me with one of my addictions. And one of my addictions is fantasy and romance. It's my whole life. It's made me feel better. I mean, clearly, there were a lot of times I was super stressed out and life was rough. And what did I do? I went out and I got together with men that were really no good, but I couldn't see them as no good at the time. They looked great because I was in fantasy about them. They seemed like wonderful guys because I was all hopped up on fantasy. I wasn't sober. I was high on fantasy. And that's why I ended up being with these different men that fathered my children, and they all ended up to be terrible people, like awful, because I was with them to get high, to get away from my own pain. I fell in love with them very quickly. And I overlooked a lot of red flags because I was high on fantasy. I was in fantasy because I was avoiding my own stress in my life. Okay, so that's all I wanted to talk to you ladies about. Please pray for my son. Pray for his friends that got hurt tonight. Please pray for the one that's in the hospital right now. And just, think about this video. One, so you can help yourself. So you can understand yourself better. You can help yourself because a lot of people do this and they don't understand. How do I keep ending up with losers? It's because you're probably a romance fantasy addict and you are using the people as drugs and don't even realize it. You're using them as drugs to feel better, as a stress response. 1, to help yourself. 2, to understand other women that you might find super annoying in your life. Understand that they don't understand what they're doing. They just keep falling in love with weirdos and they keep doing Pickmeesha things. They keep giving men chances and, they're probably calling you all the time and telling you, oh my God, he did this to me and he did that to me. He cheated on me again. Just try to be patient with them. Try to love them and just know that they're sick. They're sick in the mind. And they're using love and fantasy and romance as a drug to feel better. That's how they ended up with these guys, okay? So 1, it's for yourself. 2, it's for other women that are suffering from the same addiction. And 3, not to cut slack for men, but to just understand their nature. Sex is a very easy addiction for a man to fall into. sex and looking at images online and going to adult clubs and things like that, many, many times it's a freaking stress response, and this is how they live their whole lives. They just use women and pictures of them and, their bodies as a way to feel better when things in life are not right, especially for men, because they don't process their emotions very well. They really don't reach out for help. They don't talk to therapists usually. They're very behind with things like that. Like, they can't even label their emotions most of the time. Men have learned to suppress their emotions. And when they suppress their emotions, they just go to addictions to help them suppress their emotions. So they do it even more than we do when it comes to sex and things like that. That tends to be most men's go-to, their go-to thing when they're under stress. So just so you can understand them better, because the more you understand them, the better life you can have. Like, the better you can manage the men in your life, the more you understand them, maybe you're going to decide, like, I just don't want to be with a creature like that. I don't want to be with somebody who's going to be turning to that every time they're stressed out. There's a lot of different reasons why it's good for you to understand the psychology behind it, to help yourself, to have more compassion for the other women in your life that are going through it, and to understand a lot of the reasons why men do the pervy things they do. And it seems like they just can't stop. Well, if you're constantly under stress, you might be looking at adult content online every single day. Not you, but men. So just so you understand them. All right, that's all. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate you ladies being here for me. I feel alone right now with what happened, and Michael's sleeping right now, so I'm not going to talk to him until tomorrow. It's just good that I could just post a video and talk to you guys about what's going on. Just makes me feel better that I'm not alone with this whole situation right now. And it's good to hold myself accountable, because I'm aware of what my brain is trying to do. My brain is trying to take me down love addiction lane. Like, if I was not aware that I was a love and fantasy romance addict, aka former Pickmeesha, I would probably, in my stress right now, I would start texting this man from my dance school and making plans with him, and probably, start sending romantic stuff back and forth and getting all involved in a whole relationship. And, maybe, who knows what could happen over the next few days. And sometimes stress lasts weeks or months. So this can continue the relationship with the man you should have never been with from the beginning. But if the stress in your life stays, then you're going to keep needing the drug to soothe you. So you could go into a whole full relationship. You could literally go to bed with him. You could birth his child and never even realize the only reason you were ever with him is because you were stressed out and you needed comfort. You needed something to soothe the pain. So you went with him to feel better, because romance feels good. Love feels good. So your brain has to go into fantasy to make him better than what he is. You have to go into fantasy and be delusional to see these men and say, wow, he's so great. He's so worthy of my time and my love and my beauty and my body. You have to be in fantasy to think they're great. You have to think they're great to go to bed with them. Okay, so that's all I have to say. I have to eat my food now, and I got to get myself together, and I have to make sure that I don't act out on my addiction. The more I talk about this with other people, in my programs and with you ladies, the more aware of what I'm, the more aware I become of what I'm doing. The more aware I am, the more I can stop myself and say, hey, don't text him tonight. Do not text that man tonight. You don't need to text him tonight. Because you're just going to be texting him to go into fantasy so you can avoid the feelings of pain you're having over what happened to your son and his friends tonight. You do not want to go falling in love with some guy just because you're stressed out. that's like not a reason to go and be with somebody. It's not. That's how you end up with people that are not good for you, because you're choosing them while you're stressed out, while you're desperate for someone to console you, to, share your pain with you, just, or just like, it would feel so good right now if I started texting him and he started telling me how pretty I am. I would feel so like, oh my God, he called me pretty. Like if I started something up with him right now and he started love bombing me through the phone, I would feel really good right now. And if I feel really good with his compliments and his love bombing, I won't think about what's going on with my son. It's just a distraction. Many times we literally fall in love with men and have babies with them simply because subconsciously we needed a distraction in moments of intense grief and pain. And we're all going to go through grief and pain, ladies. Our parents are going to die. We're going to go through financial stuff. You're going to have miscarriages. Like, things in life are going to happen. You can't stop stress and grief from happening. You can't. That's part of life. But you can somewhat control how you respond. And the more awareness you have about how your brain works and how addiction works, the better you're going to be able to understand yourself and help yourself. Okay, ladies, talk to you later. Bye for now.